What's up, everybody? A little hobby with Cage here on a Monday. If you follow my page, you follow my content, we had a nice hit yesterday, and it leads to a lot of conversation, a lot of interesting talk in my house amongst my family, and I think it's worthy of an episode, worthy of having conversation. A lot of you guys even alluded to it in some of the comments to the post. So that's going to be the topic of today's episode of the Hobby with Cage. Brought to you by Bleecker Trading, brought to you by My Slabs, and brought to you by Arena Club. So if you haven't seen it yet, go ahead and check out my page. It's been viewed like 10,000 times already, which is pretty nuts, which is, I love to see it. I really wish I was recording the whole time, but, it's Sunday morning. There's fantasy football lineups to set, and there's chores to do, and there's laundry to do, and, there's stuff around the house. But interestingly enough, I ordered... we should talk about that a little bit. But Sapphire, NBA Topps Chrome Sapphire, the new Fanatics product that came out. I think they're actually right over here. The new product that came out. An interesting drop, right? An interesting way of doing the cards. They released these cards through a third-party EQL for Sapphire, and it was open for an hour, and you could get in the drop. Reminded me sort of like the sneakers app, SKARS, for Nike network, you name it, where, you enter and they picked people who were able to buy. Of course, you had to give your credit card information and everything up front. That way, if you were selected, they hit your card. Like, it wasn't this, hey, you can be selected and then decide whether you want it. Like, you had to put in that you were ready to go. And I don't think everybody got in. I was telling a coworker about it that morning. They put in their credit card information, and they did not win. They weren't chosen, and you found out quickly soon thereafter, after that 1 hour window closes, you find out, you get an email, either you're in or you're out. I don't know whether or not it impacted it, but I put in for 4 boxes. Might as well have all the math, right? And have the whole story here. I put in for 4 boxes. The coworker put in for 2. I don't know what the limit was. I don't know if you could put in for 10, and I don't know whether that impacted you. If you put in for too many, you weren't able to get it. I don't know if mine was 4 was the sweet spot. I really don't know. First time doing this. I think it's the first time the Topps did this. I thought it was great. Obviously, I'm going to be a positive on it because I was able to get allocation. I might be complaining if I wasn't. The boxes were $499 a box times 4, plus tax and all that other fun stuff. I mean, I think it was $2,100 or so because I'm in New York and there's a lot of tax here. So anyway, it ends up being, what ends up being $550 approximately for the box. Maybe a little bit less than $550 all in with tax. That box comes with 8 packs. 4 cards per pack. And we're talking about, again, here, this is what it looks like. It's the, Sapphire. It's the Chrome unlicensed Sapphire. This is really an all or nothing kind of chase. I've made fun of Meta World Peace. We got a Meta World Peace, and Ian laughed at it. Here's an out of 25 that we got. It's Magic Johnson, but no Lakers. I mean, you see it's Magic, but no Lakers. I mean, I don't know what that kind of a card is going to sell for. They did a better job with the Giannis. He's kind of dunking and turned away, so you don't see the missing bucks on the jersey. And for the most part, the pictures were done pretty well. See, basketball in front of where the jersey would be, arm in front of where the where the team name would be. You got Scoot kind of holding the ball up in front of where the team name would be. So they did a decent enough job with it. But if we're being honest, you're chasing Wemby auto. Because even if this is, it's non-licensed, the licensed products, the Panini products, do not have autographs for Wemby. So that's your chase. And it really is an all or nothing kind of thing. So if you haven't seen the video yet, I'll give you a little sneak right here. I was not recording when he hit this, but my son opened the box and pulled a Victor Wembanyama orange Sapphire out of 25. Card looks pretty nice. Doesn't really matter. He's going to keep it. It could be an 8, it could be a 10, it could be an 11. Like I say, it doesn't really make a difference. And And obviously, that's a major hit in this product. Sapphire usually sells for a little more than the regular chrome, and those kind of cards are selling for thousands of dollars. Um, so, a couple things. Let's talk about the product and let's talk about the hit. The product itself. The other three autos in the boxes. You ready for this? Max Strus, Bradley Beal, and Sabonis. I was going to say Arvydas Sabonis, Domantas Sabonis. I used to watch his dad play. So Domantas Sabonis. So if I had but one box or two boxes or three boxes and those were my hits, man, I probably would come on here and not be happy. I probably would come on here and kill the product. There were very few numbered cards, and even the numbered cards are not exactly, the greatest thing in the world. What is an unlicensed Clyde Drexler gold to 50 going to be worth? Probably not going to be worth, the $550 box price. But when that one of four hits, when you've pulled the slot machine that fourth time and you hit the jackpot, it makes up for the losses on the other three boxes and probably the losses on the boxes for the last couple of months. The product itself, tough. You got to know what you're doing going into it, right? You're looking for Wemby and Wemby and Wemby. There are other rookies in this product, but the other rookies have licensed cards. The Wemby auto, it's basically Wemby auto or nothing. And this is what I would say. And it's definitely a risk. It's definitely a high price risk. One I was willing to take because the EQL drop, the way the drop was done, like I don't want to be paying. I don't know what breakers are going to be charging for this, but I imagine it's more than the $500 cost that it was to, Joe Public. I think this was an online exclusive. I saw some people with boxes ahead of the online drop even. But I don't know what they paid. I don't know if this was something that was made available to breakers or if breakers had to get their boxes, the same way that I did. It gave off the impression that I was not waiting in line for a breaker, that I had the same shot to get this as anybody else did. And, that alone is worth the price of admission for me. So I guess good job on Topps on that, on coming up with a different way of doing it, trying something different. I'd be curious to hear from Topps whether or not they felt it was a success also. It was pretty smooth. There were no, issues with the drop. They kept it open for an hour, so it wasn't a crashing website. I would imagine by using this EQL, this third party, they're able to avoid bots just, jumping on in the first second and being the first ones to get in there and buy all the boxes and then immediately be able to flip it on the secondary market. I'd like to think that, people like me were able to get and then in turn open them with their kid, and that's putting the product in an end user's hand, which is probably should be a goal for people. So a lot of positives there. The product itself is scary. You know what you're getting into if you're buying it. And that's coming from somebody who obviously just got a major hit out of the product. But you have to realize that if you don't get that big hit, it's pricey. And you're probably not going to be able to, do too well on the cards you do hit. I don't know what a Max Strus auto is going to get me back, but I'm not thinking too much. Unlicensed Max Strus auto, I don't know what it's going to get me back. I'm not really holding my breath for a ton of money. Not anything wrong with Strus. He's a nice little player, I like watching him, shoot threes, but I don't know how much that card's going to sell for. Anyway, so, that's the product itself. The bigger, issue, it's so funny. I love the comments, man. I love that you people listen. I love that you guys are, are tuning in and, being involved in the conversation, right? Because my favorite one, I think it was Dominic Macaluso. I think he said, a good thing he picked cards over stocks this week. Because, I've talked about this with my son, right? And the chasing and the gambling and being careful about, what we do and how we, how I kind of guide him through this, the hobby, the space, as there's way more gambling in it now than set building and card collecting and the like. And I know he enjoys it just like I enjoy opening the cards. If you watch the video, obviously it's just one of those things that, it's a great moment. It's a great memory. But the flip side is I don't want to start him chasing that stuff. And I'm in a little bit of an interesting spot, right? Because I want to be able to buy a box of cards for a couple $100 and, know that if we get something good, we get something good. And if we don't, we don't. Like that's what it's about. I have the means, obviously, to buy it. And it's fun to open these things and chase the Wemby. But immediately my wife says, well, how many boxes have you opened in the last year where you got nothing? You know what I mean? Don't forget that. Don't forget that this is the anomaly, that this is, the oddball occurrence. And you can't expect that every time you open, you're gonna hit this and you're gonna, because the scary thing is we had 4 boxes and the Wemby came in the second one, right? What if it was the fourth one? You could almost see it happening, right? Like you could almost see it like, all right, well, let's just do one more, and then boom, wow, of course, you got to keep going. You got to keep going because, most successful gamblers stop right before their big win, like, all right, I know I lost on the Cowboys and I lost on the Chiefs and I lost, but don't worry, I'm going to make it all back on this next one. And, you know, it's something I don't want to reinforce. It's something I'm a little scared of. The best part was when I said to him, well, what do you want to do with the card? He said, I'm keeping it. Like, this was awesome. And, he pulled an awesome Zion Prism out of 25 when Zion was a rookie, not an autograph, just a regular, it was, I think, a green Pulsar. And, through some stories, through some fun, through some, me selling it out from under him. And we have the card. We have the card still. And he's got some other, decent hits that he's pulled out, and he keeps them. And he said, "Listen, I want to keep this in my collection. It's a great story. We pulled this together. It's, to me, I like that, right? Because it's not like, all right, let's feed it right back into the one-armed bandit. Let's sell this, get thousands of dollars, and then just buy more and hope to get more. Because what's the end goal there, right?" So I like that he wants to keep it. He pulled a Lamine Yamal soccer auto out of 99 earlier this year. And he said, let's take the Wemby and put it next to that and put it up on display. Can't beat that. Because that means we tried our luck. We hit what we wanted to hit, and we're going to be an end consumer of it. We're going to be an end user of it. We're going to keep it. We're not just going to flip it and keep the cycle going. That to me is an important difference between the slot machine and the cards. That even though this card is a jackpot, even though it is something that, will allow you to continue to go back to the well and gamble more and pull more slot machines and bet more blackjack, it's not going to, because there's an intrinsic value to it. The card itself is something that he wants to own rather than just, I got the jackpot card, I'm going to sell it, and I'm just going to keep on spending the money. There's a huge difference there. And it's something I didn't really have to force on him. I didn't really have to say, you're not selling this card, you're keeping this card. Like, it was all him. I bought it so that he can open up. If he said he wanted to sell it, we would have a conversation. And maybe we would sell it if that's what he wanted to do. But I don't know what we would do with the money. On a positive note, for those of you who listen, we've been having conversations of, do you put money in the stock market or do you buy cards? This week was a cards week, obviously, but the stocks have won out about 50% of the time. And, Google, which he has bought, has been doing well. So he looks at his account and he sees, all right, I put money in stocks and I have more money. He's up over 10% on his stocks so far this year. And it's only been a month or two. Now that changes also. But it definitely is a nice eye-opener, a nice counterbalance, because most of the time he puts $200 in a box of cards and he gets $12 worth of value out of it. Whereas when he put $200 into Google stock, it's now worth $220. So I do have that kind of counterbalance. I'm not saying you guys have to do this also if you're out there opening cards with your kids. But it's definitely been something that he considers. He even said, you know what, even though we had a win here on cards, next week we're going to go right back to the stocks. We have to balance it out. He doesn't want to just go right back to, ripping and opening and you name it. So, I hope I'm doing the right thing. The hobby now, the way that it is very gambly. I know that's not a word, but it's a lot of chase. It's a lot of I'm buying this to try to get this, this chase card, this one of one auto. This I talked about this recently. The scratch off ticket, the new hobby scratch off, even with the tops now. This was a higher stake gamble because the box was a lot more money than buying a $10 tops now card to hope to get the one of one auto. It is a fun little part of it that just doesn't get talked about because I do want my son to be involved in the hobby. There are very few, Wemby autos out of 25 out there in these boxes. I'm glad we got one. I'm glad we had that moment. I'm glad we had that sort of core memory. And you could tell how excited he was. He was running around the house. But I also want to make sure that I'm taking time to, speak with him about the hobby, about why we do this, about how it's a cool father-son bonding thing, and why this is an awesome hobby and the community involved in it. And he sees that when he goes to shows and not just straight gambling because he's 11, and there's a reason why there's a gambling age, and you have to be a little more adult to understand that, be able to bet with your head, not over it, and all the other fun taglines that are out there, but they really do matter, right? And nobody talks about this. And I'm trying to vis-a-vis my relationship with my son, because I don't want to just end it. I don't want to be like, all right, you know what, we can't buy cards anymore because, we're heading down a road. It's my job to kind of, I guess be a shepherd here, right? And make sure that we're doing this for the right reason and that we are able to enjoy a win like this, with an understanding that it is rare. It is not something to chase. It's not something that we can expect to happen over and over again, but also at the same time enjoy it when it happens and not completely damper it with, total serious conversations. It's an interesting line to toe. I hope I'm doing a good enough job with it. I hope you guys are having fun riding along and watching it as we go, because I don't want to take away the joy that's there. Take a look at my page. I mean, you can just see the excitement. I mean, he's out of breath from running around the kitchen. But yeah, I wanted to hop on and talk about it for a bunch of reasons. I mean, the product itself obviously was fun for us to rip because we got a really nice card, but it is an all or nothing product. And I think a lot of products are becoming all or nothing type of product. And that's kind of my take on it today. Obviously we're thrilled to get that pull. I'm also happy to be able to have these kind of conversations with my son and with you guys. It's a different part of the hobby. It's a different aspect of collecting, and it's something that doesn't get talked about enough. And, if you're doing this with your kid, or, you happen to listen to this and somebody who's young and getting a little too gambly, have a conversation with them. It's definitely worth it. And like I said, I know I'm not perfect, and I don't know if I'm doing this the right way, but I'm doing it the best that I can. Yeah, crazy week. You get the news tomorrow. I'll keep this short. It's already 18 minutes, a little longer than I usually do. Bleaker Trading's got some events coming on this week. We got, King Saladin. Take a look at their page. You got Friday auctions on My Slabs, and Arena Club's got new slab pack coming out this week. Those are the 3 sponsors. Go ahead and check them out. On my page, there's a 10% off discount code, Cage, for slab packs on Arena Club, if you guys want to check that out as well. If you haven't done it, you can try it and get a discount. And there you go, guys. I'll be back again. We'll do a couple episodes this week. This was a fun one, a heck of a weekend for us. One that I won't forget, one that it will be a fun hobby memory for a long time. And I want to thank you guys for allowing me to share it with you. We'll talk to you soon. Take care, everybody.